Spring is right around the corner, and every year we do our best to think ahead and do as much prep work as possible outside to prepare for the growing season. Growing food involves more than just planting a seed and watching it grow. There's also things that need to be done in the background in the off season to ensure that you'll have the best success when the time comes for harvest. Today is supposed to be absolutely gorgeous. This morning it's still freezing cold. It's like 30s, but the temp is supposed to rise like 30 degrees today. So it's supposed to be like upper 60s, which is perfect. So I'm going to try to get my fruit trees pruned. Cody is going to be working on the raspberry patch and the grapes. I'm also hoping to work on some of my perennial herbs, get those cut back so that they can have nice fresh growth for the growing season. While it's still really chilly out here, I'm gonna go inside and work on finishing off our maple syrup that we did on Saturday. And while we're outside today, Cody's gonna be working on one of his obsessions as well.
This is pretty heavy. There looks like there's about 3 gallons in here. We boiled down 65 gallons of sap the other day. That was almost twice as much as we did the first time. So I don't know if I boiled it down quite as much as I did the first time before we brought it inside, but it was getting really late and dark, and so I just brought it inside. But this is brown and sweet. It's just not very thick at all. I'm gonna pour this in here for Michelle before I go outside to work on my little project. This already looks a lot like maple syrup. It's just still really runny. And that tastes like maple syrup, but I know it's not done. It's very runny yet. So I'm gonna boil this down for a while. This chilly weather is perfect for cold smoking. So I've been using this grill to grill some steaks. Just the other day, I did my first batch of smoked cheese. It's so good. It actually needs a little more time. One video I watched, the guy said that it will be much better after a couple of weeks. I guess it lets the flavors mellow and really soak into the cheese, but it already is really good. But I want to do another batch today. I just got this little pellet tube here. It was really cheap on Amazon, and all you do is fill it with pellets, light it, and it'll just smolder. I think I got about 6 hours of smoke out of this when I did it before. So hopefully I'll get about that again. I'm gonna get it lit, set it down in there, and then make sure that it stays lit before I put the cheese on here. I left the cheese in the house so the cat doesn't eat it while I'm waiting. For the first round of smoked cheese that I did, I used a cherry blend of pellets. This is a bourbon barrel, maple, and pecan. So I guess we'll see how this tastes. This is at just a nice smolder now, so it is definitely lit and going. I'm gonna use these heat deflectors. They just sit on the lower rack, and that'll make so if that thing does put off much heat, it's not coming up directly against the cheese. And then these racks go up here in the top. This cheese smoking is so simple. Literally, you get that thing started, set these things on the rack, and just let it go for hours. Come back and you got smoked cheese. I've got several different kinds of cheese that I'm putting on here. I've got pepper jack, cheddar, mozzarella, some Colby Jack, and some Munster. Michelle thinks I say that wrong. She thinks it's Munster. I think it's Munster. Comment below which one is right. I'm gonna close this, but I'm gonna have the bottom and the top open. Just let it smoke away.
One of the kids is inside watching the sap for me. They're watching the temp. So I'm gonna get started on pruning these trees. It's always one of those jobs that is kind of daunting. Like, I'm not a pro at pruning trees. I'm not gonna give a whole lot of tips today because I don't feel like I should. I'm not the pruning guru. I have read some books, watched some videos, and it's a little bit frustrating because it's one of those things that most people say different things, and some of the things kind of come down to preference, how you want the tree to look, what you want out of the tree. So I just do my best. Cody has done this in the past. He's a little bit, he's not very decisive, and so it takes him kind of long, and I'm just like, give it to me, let me do it. So it's not like I'm better at it than he is. I just get it done faster. So we've just kind of decided that's how we'll do it. We have 2 pear trees, 2 apple trees, and then a cherry tree. The cherry tree did really well last year, so I guess I'm not doing something too wrong. I do wish we had some tree mentors, like apple tree, fruit tree mentors here in Ohio, but we haven't really found anyone who does a really good job with organic fruit production. It's hard here in Ohio because it's so wet. So we're just experimenting and doing our best, and so far, honestly, we have not been successful, but we'll just keep trying. Hopefully this year, Cody will get a spray routine down. We say that every year. This is the year. This homesteading life that we live is truly wonderful. We genuinely love it, and we definitely try to show a balance to our audience of the good and the bad, the hard things and the good things. But for our own privacy, we don't always show all of the hard things that go on. Cody and I have both struggled a lot with depression. For me, it was after I had babies and I was in those postpartum years, and I had hormonal imbalances and was really struggling with adrenal fatigue. There were times in my life where I depended very heavily on therapy to get me through, and I'm not remotely ashamed of that. I noticed that when my mental health was really well, my physical symptoms started to fall in line. Therapy can look big and scary sometimes and somewhat intimidating, and it can also be hard to find a therapist that's near you, but BetterHelp is a sponsor of today's video, and they take all the intimidation out of therapy, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home. You just go to their website and answer a few questions, and they'll match you with a licensed therapist with years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You'll usually be matched within 48 hours, and then you can meet with your therapist on a phone call, a video chat, or through messaging. And if you feel like you and your therapist for some reason aren't a good fit, they make it very easy for you to switch therapists. We believe that everybody should consider therapy, and if you want to try BetterHelp for yourself, you can click on the link in our description box, betterhelp.com/morethanfarmers, or you can choose our channel at sign up and you'll get a special discount on the first month of your therapy.
We cut our raspberry plants all the way down to the ground every year right before spring. This helps with a couple things. It helps keep disease away, that fresh growth, and it also makes so instead of your berries kind of trickling in all year long, you get more of like a bumper crop towards the end of summer and into the fall. And Michelle really likes that because picking raspberries is a really big job, and it makes so it's more of a concentrated time of doing it rather than just coming and doing it all throughout the summer. I'll be cutting them all the way down just right above the soil, and that seems a little scary, but they grow really fast and they will get really tall again by summer. I have heard though that you can't do this with every variety of raspberries. This variety is heritage and it definitely works for these. We get a ton of raspberries every year, but depending on which kind of raspberries you have, do some checking before you do this. And I'm gonna be using this DeWalt chainsaw here. So I don't know if you remember last year, I was trying to come up with a solution to cut these down. What I was doing before wasn't working that great, and I got a blade for the bottom of my weed eater. That worked pretty well. That is on good and proper. But this DeWalt chainsaw has become my new best friend. I use it for everything around here. It's a pretty safe saw to use. When you let go of the trigger, it stops right away. It's got a guard on it. It's got a guard here. It doesn't kick around like a gas chainsaw. I really, really like it, and it's gonna be super simple just to reach in here and cut these off. If you don't have one of these yet, get yourself one. All right, we pulled the one pot of maple syrup off the stove because that one was done. We actually hope we didn't overdo that one.
We didn't.
But this one is getting really close. So we're keeping an eye on that one, but we're gonna start dishing this out. I've tasted this a few times and it is so good. Way better than the last batch we did. Really, really sweet. We've already run this through a flour sack towel filter, but the last time we only did that and it was like fairly silty in the bottom. So I'm trying to get a little more out this time, but this is having a hard time running through this thing.
All right, this hit 217, so I'm just gonna take this off.
And this over here was straining way too slow, and I decided I don't care if there's a little bit of silt in the bottom. We're gonna use a flour sack towel again. Takes me back to milk straining days. With this heat, it'll actually seal. It's so hot. We used this one for the last time that we made syrup. We already used it all. So we got 1 3/4 gallon. We did 65 gallons of sap. I'd say that's a really good ratio because last time we did 35 gallons of sap and we only got like 3/4 of a gallon of syrup.
Well, and this time the syrup is much sweeter.
It must be a difference in the sap from the earlier still cold season until this. There was a lot more like fluctuation in temperature from cold to warm.
Well, and the sap was just like pouring in, whereas before it was just
trickling in, yeah. Later this spring then, we're also going to take the tiller on each side of this row of raspberries and we'll till it down so that it's about 2 feet wide. That really helps keep it a lot more manageable. Raspberries will just grow and grow and grow. It would take over our whole yard. But this way, they're easy to pick then in the middle. This trellis also really helps. And like I said earlier, even with cutting these down and then tilling beside it, we get gallons and gallons of raspberries out of this row right here. Right there. While we're down here, I want to show you something over here. I came down here the other day, one of the first warm days. The bees were flying. So excited because both of the hives look like they're doing pretty well. There are bees flying around. I haven't actually looked inside the hives yet, but looks like they're doing good because they're flying. They made it through the winter at least. That's starting to sweat, which is not actually a good thing. It's not supposed to get warm enough for that. I think I'm actually going to take these off now. I don't like that they're sweating like that and that they're starting to sag. I think my problem was I started it this morning when it was in the 30s, which would have been totally fine, but it really warmed up fast and this thing is black, so it's soaking up the sunshine. And it's just getting too warm in here. I need to get a thermometer to put inside here that reads a lower temperature. This one doesn't start until 150 degrees and it'll start melting and stuff at like 70. So I'm sure it's easily up to that by now. It might end up being a little dry on the inside because this sweating or whatever here would be releasing some of the oils from inside of the cheese. I'm guessing it's still gonna taste good. And I guess I learned a lesson. Right now when it's warming up during the day, I just either need to start it way early in the morning or maybe start it in the evening and let it go through the night. I'm gonna cut it open just to see what it's like on the inside. That just looks like cheese. That's a little soft. I mean, tastes really good. This has been out here for about 4.5 hours now, and so it's got plenty of smoke flavor on it, even though not quite as long as the last one.
Yesterday we did not get everything done that we wanted to get done. We had somewhere to be last night, so we had to quit a little bit early. So this morning we're back at it. I really want to finish these trees. I got most of them done, and I will say I was a little bit discouraged with our apple trees. They seem pretty diseased, but I guess we're just gonna keep trying. I just have my cherry tree left. This one did really well last year. I was able to make a couple pies from it. So I'm just gonna do what I did last year. I'm just gonna try to make so that there's branches that aren't crossing each other. Anything that goes straight up or straight down, which the down doesn't happen very much, just kind of try to make so that the air can breathe, especially in the center. What I do before I do each tree is I Google like what are the main things to look for. So I'm definitely not a professional, but I'm doing my best, and I feel like every year I'm learning more and more. The fruit trees are done, finally. It's a huge load off my mind. Cody might go over them and do some perfecting touches yet. Now I just want to cut down all of my herbs. This is thyme, And if you just leave it like this, it'll definitely come back again the next year, but it's just really hard to pick. And if you cut these back, it just allows for nice fresh growth. Ah, there's still some green stuff. That stuff is still alive down in there. That's amazing. This is the last thing on my pruning list today, which is a big relief. Cody still has the grapes to do. This is my lavender, rosemary, sage, and echinacea.
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
I am just going to whack these back so that they can come out with fresh growth this spring. And check this out. These are chamomile plants that are reseeding. Oh, and there's lavender starting to come back. Goodness. There's just like tiny light green new growth down there. This is the kind of pruning that I like. Just take it all off, down to the ground.
These grapes desperately need some help. I'm gonna have to train these up here, something that I should have done last year. And then there's a few of them that need to be snipped off. So this is another thing that I'm not terribly confident about. I'm not gonna give a whole lot of instructions, but I'm going to do my best here. The general idea of these is to get the plant growing up and then branches going out on each wire up to the top of this thing. And then the shoots that go, I believe it's up from these branches here, are the ones that the grapes will actually grow on. So like this one here went from all the way from this plant all the way over there. So this needs to be cut off right here at this post. And somehow I got to get this thing out of here without breaking other stuff. Everything's a little brittle. These plants don't seem to be doing the best, and I think a lot of it is they need some more nutrients. We've got a weed barrier fabric down underneath them, which is working really well for the weeds, but we want to be able to compost these. So today we're actually going to pull the weed fabric up, put a bunch of compost down, and then put the weed fabric back down.
When you don't know where you're running, come running back to me. I'll be waiting on you, please believe that I'm always gonna love you, that there's nothing you could do to make me turn away from you.
Being really careful because these branches are fairly brittle. And I think they're looking better now that they're not quite as much of a mess, but they're still looking a little sketch. And I'm kind of like, I hope these actually regrow because they just kind of feel dead and stuff. This weed fabric has lasted really well. It's been a couple years, and we put this down when I still had a full-time job off of the homestead, and it kept Michelle from needing to do a lot of weeding. So it's been really good. But this stuff is definitely past its prime, so it's gonna have to be replaced either with more weed fabric or possibly with a mulch of some kind.
It's not about meeting in the middle. I've been chasing after you since long before you knew. You're the reason that I smile, the reason that I cry. You're the reason I'm alive at all. It's hard to see in a world that's going crazy. It feels like make believe. I know it's hard to do.
I feel like we kind of went all over the place the last couple days, and if you want to see like exactly how much space we give everything and our actual layout for our homestead, you can watch this video next.